One hotel. This is something that happened in 2018. I was on a business trip to Columbus and stayed at a hotel next door for the night. Because I'm interested in the occult myself, and I have quite a few people on my own Twitter feed who share the same hobby. After I sent a tweet, a friend said, "I heard this hotel is haunted." I was saying that any hotel has a bit of a similar legend. We were staying in an old hotel room, and there was a round mirror on the wall above the desk next to the TV with what looked like a wooden border. I didn't touch it specifically, just looked at it. I even teased my co-worker that there was a mirror facing one of the windows, so it was really that unorthodox. Then on June 15th, the evening of the launch, I cannot drink, and my colleague drank a little too much, so I helped him to bed, very early to lie down to sleep. I slept in the bed next to the toilet, and my colleague slept in the bed facing the mirror. I could see the mirror when I leaned a little to the left. In the middle of the night, I got up to go to the bathroom, and after I finished going to the bathroom, I just laid down for a short time and I stared at the ceiling, and I realized that in the room there was a very faint purple light that shone on the ceiling. Because we had the curtains drawn and no lights on, it was very dark, and a very faint light would have been obvious. Then I half squinted and followed the light, and I saw the mirror. Yes, the mirror was glowing purple, and it felt especially bright inside, and it turned the edges purple. My first thought was that I was in a dream, but because of my usual training in lucid dreaming, it was easy for me to distinguish whether I was in a dream or not, and I was pretty sure that I wasn't in a dream. So I felt confused, not scared, but I didn't know what to do. My co-worker was facing away from me, sleeping soundly, and I was debating whether or not to yell at him to get up, because I'd had a hard time seeing a similar scene, and I was afraid that I'd stop as soon as I was born, and to be honest, it was a bit of a death wish. And the purple light still did not stop. At this time, I saw a hand feel from the inside pressed on the mirror. I was really scared. But my first action is to take a picture of the phone, and then my colleague suddenly said, "Hotta," on the half-awake, staring at me. I froze for a moment, staring at him. At this time, the light stopped. I immediately got up and turned on the light to tell him what happened, but unfortunately my cell phone didn't capture it. He said, "Was I dreaming?" I said, "Absolutely not." He said he felt particularly hot on his back, woke up, turned around and looked at his back shoulder blade position tattoo with boiling water. The skin around the eye bags are red. I was a little anxious. Said, "Your tattoos are as red as the hot water." He turned around with a horrified look on his face. Then we immediately packed our bags and sat downstairs in the lobby. The people in the lobby even asked us what was wrong, so we said we had an early flight and came down early to wait for the bus. Mainly because I felt that no one would believe me if I told them. I took the car directly to the airport at 5 a.m. He went back to the road to tell me this tattoo is to spend a lot of money. Lined up for a long time looking for a master to the tattoo. I do not know whether he bragging anyway. I will never go to that hotel again. 2. Car accident. Say a strange incident happened to me. There is a girl in our town with me about the same age, before often play together, and then moved away from contact. That day, I was at home taking a nap. I remember the sky was cloudy. Some hot, I was half asleep and heard someone calling my name. I thought it was my mum calling me to get up, so I answered, and then suddenly woke up with a start. There was no one in my house at all. Mum went out that day, is not at home, and I'm pretty sure it is. And I play that girl's voice. It is strange that her voice is very ethereal. It feels like it does not exist. This thing I did not tell anyone. Until later my dad told me that the girl had a car accident, is very serious. In the intensive care unit, has been lying for a long time, has not yet woken up. I froze at that time and thought to myself, it is not really a coincidence. 3. Exploration. About when I was a child, 7 or 8 years old, my friends and I especially like to go to the mountains, where there are a lot of deserted houses, can go exploring. Once we still go exploring as usual, but into the house the weather began to change. My friend felt very cold and asked me to stay in the house while he went to collect firewood. Later, when there wasn't enough firewood, he said he would go to the neighborhood to see if there was any firewood left, and asked me to keep an eye on the fire. So I waited for him alone in the abandoned house. There was no chimney or window in that house, and the wind was blowing into the house, so it was impossible for the smoke to go out through the door. It was all on the roof. I thought my friend had been out too long, so I leaned against the door and waited for him. But all of a sudden, all that smoke started slamming into the doorway, and then I saw a cloud of smoke descend and form in front of me in the shape of a human being, exactly like me. I was staring at it, completely unable to move or make any sound. Suddenly, the cloud of smoke became distorted, and I could move. I thought I was hallucinating and waited outside the door for my friend. Later, he came back and asked me what I was doing outside and if the fire was out. I told him what had just happened and asked him why he hadn't been back for so long. He said he looked at his watch and had been out for 10 minutes at most, but I felt like half an hour had passed, and then we ran down the hill. It still gives me goosebumps when I think back on it. It was such a bizarre feeling.